Hi everybody, this is Saad for the Sad Truth. Earlier today, I posted some thoughts regarding the security approaches that the West is currently using as a means of trying to combat all of the threats that are coming our way from terrorists. And so I thought that I would begin by reading those comments and then perhaps I might add one or two additional points. So here we go. It is truly bewildering how inept the West is in terms of its collective response to the increasingly frequent terror mayhem that has yielded a new normal. Security officials are always reactive to the latest attack. If a terrorist uses shoes, off with the shoes. If a terrorist uses a truck, build barricades around areas of congregation. Liquid explosives might be used, no more shampoos or drinks for you. Security procedures are viewed through the lens of an ideologically free terrorist who simply needs to be stopped. To state what should be profoundly obvious, this is a war of ideas. The greatest weapon in the terrorist's arsenal is the ideology that guides his or her actions. The West is very tepid to proclaim this openly because the ideology in question is religious based, and all bien-pensants know that all religions are equally nice or equally bad. Hence, we should keep silent about the ideological battle and instead force young children to take off their shoes at airport security lineups. This is the definition of ostrich castrati logic. Eradicate the ideology and you win. Refuse to cede an inch to it and you'll be safer. Destroy your desire to be politically correct and recognize that no ideology of hate should ever be afforded protection simply because it hides under the cloak of its religious garb. Societies that are built on secularism, liberalism, the dignity of the individual, and the equality of all individuals need not tolerate ideologies that are antithetical to that ethos. It is truly that simple. The quicker that Western politicians learn this, the lesser innocent blood will be shed. So that puts an end to my prepared comments. Regarding the issue of political correctness, I think I've already mentioned this in a few venues, but it's worth repeating here. Several years ago, I was traveling with my family to California. At the time, our daughter was, I think, 2.5 years old. This was we were leaving from Montreal to California, and at the Montreal airport, through a process of a random draw, our daughter was chosen for a more extensive, in-depth security search. Where they do sort of a chemical search on her limbs and so on to make sure that she hasn't handled, I guess, explosive material and so on. Now again, think about what this implies. Here is a man, her father, myself, someone born in Lebanon, who is an adult male, who is traveling with a 2.5-year-old little girl. Statistically speaking, if we use our evolved brains that have been built to calculate cause and effect relationships, that have been built to calculate and recognize statistical regularities, is it fair to assume that someone with my profile would on average be more likely to pose a threat than a 2.5-year-old little girl? Are we being ageist by thinking that a grown man is more dangerous than a young child? Are we being sexist in thinking that I, as a male, is more dangerous than a little girl? Is it because I'm male? Or are we going to recognize that there are regularities in life that we use every day to navigate through endless minefields of life? So not only is this an ideological battle rather than a let's catch up using some new security apparatus battle, but to the extent that we actually try to ever more increase our security apparatuses, we are guided by political correctness as we seek to implement these measures. 2.5-year-old little girls are on average not as dangerous as grown men from the Middle East. I say this as a grown man from the Middle East. I recognize that if the gentleman in question, who is uh, expected to keep us safe, if he were to point to me as a greater threat than a 2.5-year-old girl, I would not be offended. I would recognize that he is not a naturally lobotomized idiot. So, eradicate political correctness, stop with the catch up game of creating ever more security, and deal with the most fundamental issue that we're facing, which is that this is a battle of ideas. If you attack the idea, if you eradicate the idea, if you don't allow the idea to breathe and grow within your societies, that's ultimately what will get you your biggest bang for your buck. There you have it, folks. If you appreciate this message, please share it. And again, it takes a tremendous amount of effort and time for me to do this. Many of you who follow me on my social portals see how much I'm engaged. Remember that I have a full-time, very intense job as a professor. So if there's any way that you can support my work through Patreon and or PayPal, that would be much appreciated. Hope you have a great week. Talk to you soon. Ciao.